ED is actually pretty common. So schedule a consult with them today. The initial visit is just $99. That includes a medical consult with a Colorado licensed medical provider, a T and PSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. Guys, it's real simple. If the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. They have an expert staff and 5 locations in Colorado to serve you. So call them at 720-440-7900 or visit them online at RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Denver men's and women's basketball is on the rise, and we need to create a home court advantage this season. Experience more than just a game. Experience team interactions, discounted hoop rates, concession packages, giveaways, and more all season long with Denver Division I basketball. Learn more at denverpioneers.com. We can create a package just for you with DU Hoops.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey guys, boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if he can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-944-33. 720-944-33. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
Shop the President's Day Super Sale at Furniture Row. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. Check out special purchases while they last. Get 60 months no interest financing. FurnitureRow.com.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's Dante Gomez. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour as Super Bowl 60 creeps closer and closer. Radio Row, I'm not going to lie, sad that we are not out there. Would have been fun if Zach and Phil just wrapped up the drive on Radio Row and we were doing DST. Dante, you'd probably be back here, but you'd be talking to me down the line. We need people back here. For anyone who doesn't know radio, we have to have a board operator. But now that it's creeped further away, I guess let's open with this. Does it feel more and more like missed opportunity or just bad luck with the fractured ankle from Bo Nix? Because I have found myself waffling on that a little bit as the days go on.
I'm in the camp of bad luck with the broken ankle because it was going to be so hard to win that game with Jarrett Stidham as your quarterback, any backup quarterback. I don't want to pin it on Jarrett Stidham specifically, but that would have been very difficult. And obviously going on to win a Super Bowl against a really good Seahawks team over there too. I think that would have been a really difficult test as well. So I think that was not going to happen once Bo Nix fractured his ankle, and that's not really something that you can plan for. That's not something that you can say, hey, if you would have stretched a little more, this wouldn't have happened, or if you would have lifted a little harder, this wouldn't have happened. So to me, it was just a case of bad luck.
Yeah, I think so too. Missed opportunity. I was really frustrated in the days after. I mean, obviously Stidham gifted the Patriots 7 points on the fumble. Will Lutz had the one missed kick, the other one blocked. Of course, the infamous 4th and 1 call from Sean Payton. Like, there was a lot that went into the Broncos losing that football game that I think initially did feel like missed opportunities. Like, damn, they blew it. And now that we're further away and sort of had more time on it, and I uttered this a little bit last week of they were just doomed. That would be the word I would use. They were doomed the second Bo broke his ankle. And the reason I bring it up is because Kay Adams had Pat Surtain and Nick Bonito on her show at Radio Row and kind of talked to them about that. Here's a little bit from Pat Surtain with Kay Adams talking about, hey, it's weird that he's there, but he's not there as a player.
We're going to have to run it back. It just feels weird in a way. You know, you see all the Super Bowl signs and you start to reflect and be like, man, we could have been here on this stage. But I don't think that should take away from the type of season we had. You know, we had a great season. You know, I think it was very battle-tested throughout the year. But I think this is going to even put a bigger chip on our shoulder going up into next year. And we got a lot of great young players that's coming back with experience and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a lesson that's learned. Obviously, this position next time, we're going to find a way to be in the Super Bowl. So,
I mean, we're going to find a way to be in the Super Bowl next time, and man, seeing that stage, it hurts. I mean, you can understand that Pat Surtain is watching the Patriots up on the stage, and he's there, I don't know, pushing a product or something, doing interviews, and he is this close to playing in that football game. That's got to be a sick feeling for him, particularly when it was not the defense's fault what happened against the Patriots.
Yeah, that's got to hurt. That has to eat at you, where it's almost you had the week off where it probably ate at you all week, or at least for the first half of last week. And then you start to get over it, and then you're planted back in San Francisco, having to see all the Super Bowl banners that he mentioned. So, yeah, that has to stink for him. And I like his mindset on it. I like that he said this is going to be a chip on our shoulders and that we're going to come back hungry. We have young players on this team, and this isn't the last that you've seen of them. So I like that he has a positive mindset on it. But, yeah, that has to eat at you pretty much every time you see the sign, every time you lay your head to go to bed, that constantly has to be there. I mean, that's how I feel about my high school sports. We went to a semifinal.
Yeah, you still think about that all these years later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I still think, gosh, we should have been in the state finals that year. So and you elevate that to the Super Bowl stage, I don't know how that wouldn't sit with you for the rest of your life probably.
Yeah, but you're right. We all only have our perspective. My perspective is high school sports as well, and I have similar emotions that you do. I never had a chance to play college basketball or obviously anything close to NBA basketball, but I vividly remember some of those high school losses that ripped our hearts out, you know, that we could have been state champions and we weren't. So I get it. And yeah, the NFL, about 1 billion times bigger than your and I's high school memories. So I'm sure it's tough for Pat Surtain. Here was some from Nick Bonito with Kay Adams. Just how tough this loss was.
I mean, obviously, It was really tough just knowing like how hard we worked to get there and just how hard it is to even get to play an opportunity like that, to be one game away from the Super Bowl. And obviously the stuff with Bo kind of hurt us, but we were excited for the moment, and it's just one that we felt, kind of slipped us. But, I know we'll have a good team going again next year, and, we'll definitely try to run it back.
So unprompted there, Kay hasn't even really gotten into it yet. Obviously the stuff with Bo kind of hurt us. I watched this whole thing. You can read about it at DenverSports.com. It's a good little 3.5 minute back and forth. We've got some other audio from it too, but no one threw Jarrett Stidham under the bus. I want to make that abundantly clear. It wasn't like Benito and PS2 went on Kay Adams' show and just, it's Jarrett's fault. They understand. The guy hadn't played in 2 years. The task presented to him was pretty impossible. And, oh, by the way, he didn't have favors done from his head coach or his field goal kicker. He did have a catastrophic error as well. But what do you make of Nick sort of bringing up Bo? I guarantee you behind closed doors, there's been a lot of conversations about how unfortunate their luck was, because if they had Bo Nix, they'd be preparing for the Super Bowl here in about 72, 96 hours.
I think it's a really realistic look on it, on the situation that they were the cards that they were dealt in that game, where, yeah, if they had Bo, they probably are playing in the Super Bowl this weekend. But unfortunately, that wasn't the scenario. And you mentioned it earlier in the show, but it wasn't the defense's fault. They really went out there and balled out, left the Broncos in the game for pretty much the entirety of the game.
Would you argue it was their best game since October?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I think it was their best game in months.
It was. And some of that could have been the weather conditions helped, obviously, in that scenario. But either way, they had Drake May pretty frazzled in that first half when the weather wasn't a part of that game. And who knows what would have happened in the second half if Drake May and the Patriots needed to score more than they felt they already had at that point. So could have been a completely different outcome in that case. But I still think that they had him pretty shell-shocked in that first half, Drake May, that is. So it is just tough. And I feel for the guys that were out there and laid it on the line for an incredibly successful season, but it just comes up a little bit short, and to no fault of theirs, to no fault of really anybody's. It was just what we talked about earlier in the show, but just kind of a weird freak accident with Bo Nix's ankle.
Yeah, and PS2, this is why in my eyes Kay Adams is one of the best in the business, because she gets really good answers out of anyone she's interviewing, whether that be a head coach, a player, a fellow media member, whoever. She just has a style that I think elicits strong answers. I mean, heck, Dante knows this. Every training camp, it's like, well, guys, it was Sean and Kay day, so we better get that audio, because it's going to be the best stuff we have to play our audience all of camp. And here was PS2 on if things would have been different if Bo had played in the AFC title game.
No doubt. Obviously we got a guy like Bo that goes down. There's some effect towards that, but Stiddy, he did a great job preparing all week, the best he could. It's tough for anybody to go in that position and sort of, expect them to go out there and, have the game of their life, just because. But, I think with Bo, he's going to bounce back even harder. He's going to attack the rehab, and he's going to get better from this.
I mean, I thought it was a really good answer about how Jarrett Stidham was going to have to go have the game of his life, and that wasn't really fair to him. Unfortunately, they didn't need Stidham to have the game of his life. They just need him to not make a catastrophic mistake, and that's what he did. But Stiddy was good on that first drive. I mean, the throw to Mims was awesome. The throw to Cortland for the touchdown was very nice. The problem was New England's got a very good defense, and a blizzard came to Empower Field at Mile High, sort of the perfect storm, no pun intended, for the Broncos. What do you make of PS2 basically? I think in a way they're having Jarrett Stidham's back, saying that, anyone who's crushing Jarrett Stidham, think about what this guy was tasked with doing. In hindsight, it was pretty, and some of us tried to warn people at the time, but it was pretty ludicrous to think that this guy was going to come into the AFC title game, play quarterback, and you were going to win.
I agree, but I think that if you're a player in that locker room, you have to have that mindset.
Sure.
Of you can't give up on Monday of the week when you have the AFC Championship at home the following Sunday. That just doesn't make sense to me. You have to go out there with the Warriors mentality and say, hey, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. We're going to go out there and we're going to win this game and find a way to go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, that's not the way it ended up going, but I think that's the mindset that any professional athlete has to have in that scenario. You don't get to be a professional athlete on that level level and be as good as you are if you don't have that kind of confidence in yourself and the guys around you in that locker room. So I think that's what the mindset had to have been. I don't love him saying it would have been different if Bo Nix played. To me, that comes across a little bit like sour grapes. And
wouldn't it have been different though?
Who knows? That's my thing.
Okay.
We don't know what the result of the game would have been in that scenario. So if Bo Nix was healthy, the spread would have been 1.5 points. And you're an avid gambler like I am. A 1.5 point spread, that's basically a pick 'em at that point. Either team could have won that game. So based on the Vegas odds going into it, or what it would have been. So I don't love that aspect of it, but I think that it's fair to feel scorned from the injury and what happened, but I think it's a little unfair to the Patriots to say, oh, the game would have been different if Bo Nix was playing.
Yeah, it could have folded out in a very different way. You're right. Maybe Vrabel and McDaniels are more aggressive with Drake May. But once they were up 10-7, they knew they were going to win that football game 10-7, and they really took the foot off the gas. Now, they had the shanked punt that set up the field goal that the Will Lutz and the holder and the long snapper couldn't see the lines. And maybe if they're 1 yard further back, it's 10-10, and they continue to play deep into the night at Empower Field at Mile High, because points in OT when it was dark and still snowing would have been nearly impossible for either team to score. But yeah, it's eliciting a lot of reaction on the text line. Is this bad luck for the Broncos or missed opportunities? Brian from Thornton chimes in and says, hey, fellas, I'm in the camp of bad luck with the broken ankle, and I'm kind of low-key glad we're not in it with Stidham. If that makes any sense, I want to get behind my quarterback, Bo Nix. I think it makes perfect sense, Brian. Can you imagine right now? Like, if they were playing the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, of course I'd be amped up. If they were playing the Seahawks in the Super Bowl with Bo Nix, I'd be picking the Denver Broncos to win, because all Bo Nix did this year was win. And I would take Denver probably, 28-27, something like that. Very close, high-scoring game. Dante, I couldn't have given it to people straight picking the Broncos with Jarrett Stidham against these Seahawks. I know Super Bowl 48 was 43-8 against Seattle. Very, very ugly. I'm not saying it would have been 43-8 bad, but I think you can make a strong case that if the Broncos are playing here in a few days with Jarrett Stidham, they may be losing this game 31-7, 31-10, somewhere in that ballpark. That wouldn't have been any fun. Fun to go to the Super Bowl, not fun to get your tail kicked in the Super Bowl.
No, absolutely not. And the scores that you threw out there probably feel pretty accurate to what it would have been. I also think, and this might be controversial or kind of a weird way of looking at it, I think it's for the best that Jarrett Stidham didn't lead this team to a Super Bowl championship. And I know Broncos country might be thinking, what do you mean? Why would you not want to win a Super Bowl? But we did all the research going into the AFC Championship of backup quarterbacks that have led their team's Super Bowl victories. And guess what? The starting quarterback prior to the injury in all those scenarios winded up having no success with that franchise. Drew Bledsoe with the Patriots went on to do nothing with the Patriots. Carson Wentz with the Eagles went on to do nothing with the Eagles. There was 3 or 4 other examples where the starting quarterback in that scenario ended up kind of, whether it was physically broken or mentally broken, I think that takes a big toll on you. So in a weird way, I do think it was almost best for the Broncos franchise and best for Bo Nix that they're not playing in the Super Bowl and that they're not going to go on and win the Super Bowl with Stidham.
Yeah, the 8157 chimes in and says, if Lil Jordan didn't drop a touchdown pass in the Bills game, we might have won in regulation. No need for overtime, no broken ankle. It's funny, Zach and Phil and Dante and I were chatting about that as the shows crossed over here. Of there was so many moments from that Buffalo game too that it could have not gone to overtime. This texter points out the Lil Jordan drop of the touchdown. Of course, Matt Prater hitting a long field goal at the very end of regulation. Now, there's Bills fans out there going to say, well, if Josh doesn't gift you 3 points before half, we win. I get it. But there are just ways the Broncos could have won that game in regulation.
The holding in the end zone.
Yeah.
That was in overtime, but it was before the injury.
It was before the broken ankle. Yeah, it's a very good one as well. So that's what's a little frustrating about it, too, as we now sit here with Super Bowl 60 getting closer and closer, is that there's ways not only you beat the Patriots, which we have outlined ad nauseum, but also there are plenty of ways you beat the Bills, and Bo Nix's ankle is still in one piece.
And I think it's a little unfair to say that because the Broncos had so many games this year where they kind of won in miraculous ways.
Oh, wow. It was a very magical season would be the word I would use.
I think that's a fair way of describing it. So it's a little unfair to be like, oh, well, the one time the magical aspect of the season worked against us, it's unfair. So I think you have to take the good with the bad as far as the the luck goes with the Broncos team this year. So I don't think it's fair to be like, wow, what could have been, because you can do that throughout the whole year of if you wanted to play the bad guy in this scenario of what could have been. What if you lose to the Raiders on that Thursday night football game? Then you're in New England for the AFC Championship. What if you don't come back against the Giants? What if you don't come back against Philly? So I think there's a lot of what ifs about this season, and you can't only look at the positive what ifs for the Broncos.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair perspective, that them getting to 14-3 was awesome, incredible. But there's a real path to 9-8 or 10-7 with some of the tight games they played in. Obviously, it's a skill to pull those out, and the Broncos deserve a lot of credit. But there was elements, particularly the Giants game of, I mean, it was 26-8 with 5 minutes left. You had no business winning that football game. The 0058 says, I don't blame Stidham, but this does teach you that the backup quarterback should maybe be at the end of his career, but at least been there before. $6 million for a backup is a lot to spend if it doesn't give you anything. I remember doing the show a couple days before the game and saying, oh, wouldn't it be nice if the Broncos had like a Kirk Cousins for this very scenario? The text line lit me up. They're like, no, we don't want Kirk Cousins. We want Stiddy. Well, how'd that work out for you?
Kirk Cousins also a lot more expensive than Jarrett Stidham was this last year.
He is. But I think to the texter's point, like an Andy Dalton, if you will, someone like that waiting in the wings, a Joe Flacco, been there, done that, as opposed to kind of this complete unknown. And other than he's won one game his entire career, and it happened to be the game that Sean Payton was analyzing on Fox, and Jarrett Stidham, or actually I think he lost that game in OT. Regardless, he won one game, might have been the Spark year. I can't remember when he was Mr. Sparky for Russ. But my point is, Cousins, Flacco, Dalton, those guys have 70 wins under their belts, 100 wins under their belts each. It just, maybe the texter's on to something, that when you're in a Super Bowl window, you want that veteran household name as your backup quarterback.
I like the Flacco idea. I part ways with you when it comes to Andy Dalton. I think Andy Dalton at this point is pretty washed up. I would not want him out there.
Just an example.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Just the type of name, not necessarily the guy.
I actually like a name that Cecil threw out the other day on the midday show of Marcus Mariota being the backup here next year. I think that would be an awesome idea. Obviously, he has a lot of starting experience, veteran in the league, and I think his game mirrors Bo Nix's game a lot more than a Jarrett Stidham, where Mariota can still get out there and run the ball a little bit the way we've seen Bo Nix run the ball for a large portion of his career with the Broncos too. So not that we have to go down this rabbit hole, but I think Mariota would be a great backup here in Denver. I would have had a lot more trust in him, especially based on what we saw him do to the Broncos defense during the year.
I was just going to say, Sunday Night Football, he was excellent against Denver in that 27-26 loss. What about Jameis?
I would have had similar. Jameis is just such a roller coaster. I love Jameis. I think he's a great personality, but I wouldn't have felt any better or worse about him versus a Jarrett Stidham out there.
All right. Well, that is the kind of conversations we are going to be having, because, as the 28-16 says, $6 million and a lot of talk from Jarrett Stidham about how he could be a starter in this league. He had an opportunity and he blew it. A little harsh maybe on the text, but I've been the one banging the drum for a long time that Stiddy loves to talk big game at the podium. And he didn't, unfortunately, back it up. I thought his press conference the week of the AFC title game was really good, because I thought he made it about Bo and not of himself, and I did give him credit at that time. But, Jared in the past has talked about he believes he's a starter in this league, and I'm going to repeat it, I'm a starter in this league. Not so sure you're a starter in the league, dude.
He's got some moxie to him. Did you see how cool he looked when he showed up to the game in his cowboy hat, though?
I would have rather he showed up looking like a dweeb and the Broncos had won the AFC title game.
I think that's fair.
Is there a fine line between confidence and cockiness?
And
does Jarrett Stidham tread that at times?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the picture of him in the throne holding like a golden football in New England. Just what a ridiculous picture to take. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady, and I think some of that can get to Jarrett's head sometimes, where he gets a little cocky.
Yeah. All right, one more cut here from Nick Benito with Kay Adams. How about bouncing back when Bo Nix is healthy next year for these Broncos?
I just feel like with just how close we were, and just how hungry we were to go get there, and just the aspirations and goals we had going into the season, I think we all knew in the locker room that we can be a championship team. And the fact that we're that close, I think it definitely is going to motivate us to want to work even harder to get back there, and this time not just be in the AFC Championship game, but win it and go to the Super Bowl. So I think it'll definitely have that type of chip where we're going to want to be better.
Yeah, and of course they're going to want to be better and use this as fuel, and it's kind of the logical progression of they made the playoffs a couple years ago, but, no one really gave them a chance in Buffalo, and they had the nice touchdown early to Troy Franklin. That was it, and they lost 31-7. And then you go to this year, you get the 1 seed, you win a divisional game, you're hosting the AFC title game. I mean, if we're just doing the whole next steps thing, you took a pretty big next step this year. The logical one next year would be you win 2 more games and you hoist Lombardi. That's high expectations. I'm not necessarily sitting here predicting it. It is February 4th. We've got, 370 days until the next Super Bowl that the Broncos are eligible for. But do you see what I'm getting at? Sort of the meteoric rise. If it continues to be meteoric, that next step is indeed winning a championship in 2026.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not always linear like that. I think we both know that just because you made it to a certain point this year doesn't guarantee anything for next year. And to me, I think we're going to find out a lot about this Broncos team next year in 2026 into 2027 there, because this year they had a fairly easy schedule. I don't want to nitpick the 14-3 record, but a lot of bad quarterbacks they were facing. And next year you have the first place schedule. You have a later first round pick than you had this year. So the cards are kind of stacked against them going into next year. And I think we're going to find out a lot about this team.
All right. The text line is being very kind to you, so I always want to read that when that happens. 8641 says, spot on, Dante. Bo has amazing mental toughness, but that's psychological warfare, meaning if Stidham had won the Super Bowl, if Stidham leads them to that, Bo's development stays on track, there could be multiple. You had raised, 6-7 minutes ago about how it would have been awesome to win the Super Bowl. No one's going to turn down a Lombardi. We get it, but there is relative examples of that hurts a starter, and can you imagine the awkwardness? I think Bo Nix would have gotten his job back, don't get me wrong, even if Jarrett Stidham had won 2 games. But the awkwardness, if Bo throws 2 picks in week 1, half the town would be calling for Stiddy, and Bo's going to hear that noise whether he's on social media or not. That's just human nature. We've seen many cases of it. Jay Cutler and Jake Plummer, one of the most famous ones in Denver Broncos football history. Even Tim Tebow and Kyle Orton, a pretty famous one as well. Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler probably should be number 1, if not number 2 on the list. There were a lot of people that are not real happy that Gary Kubiak switched back to Peyton Manning when he did, and took the keys away from Brock Osweiler, and that obviously worked out great. But yeah, I don't think we need another one of those Stidham-Bo things. I think now it's just settled, and 99.9% of the fan base understands Bo Nix is your franchise quarterback, and there's zero controversy to that statement.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want any quarterback controversy. You don't want Bo Nix looking over his shoulder every time he does something wrong. And Bo Nix, from what I see at least, he puts a lot of pressure on himself as is. I don't think you want that added pressure of having to live up to Jarrett Stidham's miraculous Super Bowl run there. So I think that it all worked out for the best for Bo Nix, at least for him. Obviously, the franchise would take another Lombardi, like you said. But I think it's going to just smooth things over here, and there's no questions about who the starting quarterback is for the Broncos for the next 5 years.
And then, of course, we talked about it a lot last week, but the elephant in the room in all this is what is the relationship currently between Sean and Bo, too, right? I think it's probably fine. As I told our listeners last week, no one's going to be thinking about this come training camp that, ankle gate, and he shouldn't be saying how many surgeries I had and all that stuff, and predisposed and not predisposed and all that. I think that was sort of a boiling over of emotions maybe from Bo Nix, just really frustrated that he broke his ankle, didn't get to play in the AFC title game, and then his coach wanted to keep talking about the broken ankle. But I don't think... Again, I don't think, you and I are doing this job in October going, I don't know if Bo and Sean like each other. There may be moments of tension because they both have fiery personalities, but this isn't some unraveling like some folks tried to make it out to be, at least in my eyes.
No, I think it only becomes a story and continues to become a story if we see more instances of it pop up. But if it was a one-off where they kind of had a little, not war of words, but conflicting press conferences like that, I think as long as that's smoothed over going forward and we don't see that kind of opposite sides of what they're saying in press conferences or on the field or anything like that, I don't think that's something we're going to be bringing up in the future.
All right, some more great text coming in. The 7267, I totally agree with you guys. if we would have been going to the Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham as our quarterback, I would have been very nervous and had very little hope that we could win against the Seahawks. Now, if Bo would have not gotten hurt and we'd be playing in all these games, I think we're winning winning the Super Bowl with him as our quarterback. A lot of those type of texts coming in. Some steady defenders too, Dante. I mean, this one, all caps lock. You really had to yell. The 3853, we forget Stiddy hit a lot of hands. Receivers need to catch the ball. I know you guys talked about that sort of extensively on the drive today, the very high drop rates from the Broncos and drop rates from household names. I mean, Cortland Sutton, a drop every 9.5 catches. Troy Franklin, even fewer than that. I don't really think there was a ton of drops in that game that sort of stick with me all that much. I think what sticks with me is 4th and 1, the Stidham field goal, or the Stidham fumble and the field goal debacles. Those would be the things that stick with me, not some big drop. So I appreciate, we like presenting both perspectives here, but I didn't walk away going, ooh, the receivers let down Jarrett Stidham. That was not one of my main takeaways from the AFC title game.
No, me neither. And the Cortland Sutton drop to me is a little overblown. It wasn't like he hit Cortland Sutton in the numbers.
It would have been a great catch.
Yes, it would have been a great catch, but he was just coming out of his break. It was low. He had just turned his head around, so I think that would have been really difficult of a catch, but I think that's more of a timing issue than a Cortland Sutton bad hands issue.
Yeah, and that timing you can't get because you don't really have the refs working with each other. All right, but that 4th and 1 call, oh, baby, it's one of the big talking points of this Super Bowl. Chris Sims told our own Andrew Mason his thoughts. You don't want to miss this answer, and that is next.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 1043 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at denversports.com/superfan. That's denversports.com/superfan.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 1043, The Fan.
Hey guys, your boy Mark Schlereth here. Denver is Truck Month only at Bozarth Chevrolet and Celebration Chevrolet, where every new and pre-owned truck comes with a spray-in bed liner included. That's right, every new truck, every bed protected. Plus, take advantage of deeply incentivized programs on all the new and pre-owned trucks, including the new Silverado and Colorado, with offers designed for their customers to take advantage of. Work harder, play harder, drive smarter. Only at Bozarth Chevrolet and Celebration Chevrolet, your trusted partner in automotive.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health.
This February, save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Oh, my gosh. You'll never believe what I just opened for Valentine's Day. A sapphire ring from Hellsberg. Just like the one I lost years ago. Remember how excited I was when you gave it to me? I cannot believe you remembered that story. I guess you were right. I really found the one.
This Valentine's Day, create a moment that means something with up to 40% off gifts at Hellsberg. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
Hey, the cold weather is here. Stoke here from my friends at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Has another company told you that you need a new furnace? Time to throw in the challenge flag. Rocks Heating and Air offers no obligation, free second opinions. And don't forget about heat pump rebates. They've never been better. Up to $13,500 only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
At Berg Simpson, we are passionate about what we do. We bring that passion and our expertise to the office and courtroom every single day. We're always working hard and are committed to doing everything we can to give our clients the best opportunity to have a great result.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives. It's not just a slogan, it's who we are.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Dental phobia? Consider sedation dentistry with Clarkson Dental. Their highly trained team will lead you through an exceptional dental experience from that first fearful call all the way through to aftercare. Call the most experienced sedation dentist and staff. Clarkson Dental, coloradosedation.com.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
All right, the Super Bowl always has sizzle because it's the Super Bowl. Pretty self-explanatory. But I got to ask, Dante, before we get to Chris Sims with Andrew Mason, is this game lacking a little buzz for you? And I know that's going to be so easy for people to say, well, you're a scoring Broncos fan, and of course it's lacking buzz. I think nationally it's lacking buzz. How do you feel about that?
I think nationally it is too, but personally it's not. I think we're going to see a really good football game. We're seeing 2 of the top 3 teams in terms of point differential from this last year. We have a redemption story of Sam Darnold. We have a young quarterback with Drake May on the other side, kind of like the prince that was promised, Game of Thrones kind of storyline there. So I'm excited for it. I think we have 2 really good coaches, Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald as well. So I think maybe the brand names aren't there, but we're going to see really good football.
Yeah, well, the Patriots are certainly a brand name with all their success, but they were so bad once Brady left that it's taken them a few years to get back to that level. I mean, Kansas City had really taken over, obviously, from New England. That torch had been passed as the biggest team in the NFL. I think there's 2 things at play here. One, Drake May and Sam Darnold is not the sexiest QB matchup in the world. Maybe 5 years from now, if Drake's the next Brady and has a couple rings and a couple MVPs and everyone hates him, but he still is just, he's so new to the, what are you laughing at?
You saying if everyone hates him, does he have to be hated?
Well, Brady by the end was not real well liked outside of New England. That's for sure.
I agree with that, but it was just a funny way of like, oh, maybe 5 years from now, if everyone hates him, that'll
But
be
how
better.
do these guys get hated? They start winning championships year after year.
No,
like
you're
Mahomes,
right. It was just,
when Mahomes broke into the league, everyone kind of liked him. Now no one can stand the guy. LeBron James, sort of the same way. So it's what's the old line? Either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I mean, that's kind of what happens to some of these stars. But I just don't think Drake May is quite at like household level. Everyone can't wait to tune in name yet. And then Darnold, I mean, he's such a bust with the Jets, and then does some football rehab, and then ultimately lands in Minnesota and is awesome. Lands with the Seahawks, he's awesome. I got to be honest, man, there's a lot of people out there that still don't believe in Sam Darnold. Even though he's done it the last 2 years and done it at a very high level and been on winning teams, I think a lot of people still remember Sam Darnold as sort of the bust out of USC than they do about giving him his proper respect that he's probably earned by now.
I was crazy high on Sam Darnold coming out of college, coming out of USC. That Rose Bowl with USC and Penn State was one of the best football games I've ever seen.
Was Saquon Barkley in that game?
Saquon Barkley was in that game. It was an incredible football game of Saquon showing off his talent, Sam Darnold showing off his talent. So I've been on the Sam Darnold bandwagon for a very long time. So I'm excited to see how it comes, or how it finishes here with the Super Bowl. But I get why you would be hesitant to believe in Sam Darnold. He's only really done it in one game that had pressure, and it was the NFC Championship against the Rams. That divisional round against the 49ers.
Yeah, it was a blowout from the jump.
Yeah. There was no pressure there. And then you go back to a year ago when he's starting for the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. I think he got sacked 7 times against the Rams in that wild card game. So I get why there's still some hesitancy as far as him doing it in a big game. And I think we're going to find out, because that New England defense is for real. And if he can go out there and ball out against them, I think that fully finishes the rehab project and the comeback story for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and certainly helps that he has arguably, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL at his disposal as well, in Jackson Smith and Jigba. All right. So that 4th and 1 call is still... Oh, actually, one more quick point on the Super Bowl. You know why else it's hard for me to get into this game? I can't stand both these franchises. And that's just a Broncos fan thing, but a lot of people listening are going to feel the same way. I mean, the Patriots can't stand a long-standing rivalry with the Patriots that maybe is going to start to get renewed here. And then the Seahawks, of course, what happened in Super Bowl 48. And, oh, by the way, they fleeced you in one of the most infamous trades in NFL history. So I can't even tell you who I'm rooting for. It's Wednesday night. I don't even know who I'm rooting for. I mean, I'll ultimately root for where I sprinkle a dollar or two at the end of the day. But right now, Dante, there's not a likable team in this Super Bowl for me. I can't stand the Patriots. I can't stand the Seahawks.
And I get that the Patriots as a franchise can be annoying to you, but I think Mike Vrabel's super likable. I love the way he coaches football. I love the way he connects with his players and all the stories you hear about that. So I'm rooting for Mike Vrabel, rooting for Sam Darnold, I'm rooting for Drake May. I think Drake May is super likable too. Very humble guy for the amount of success that he's had and early draft pick and everything that goes along with that. So I think there's likable individuals, but I get why you wouldn't be a fan of the Patriots as an entity or the Seahawks as an entity.
Yeah, they both have history with the Broncos, a lot of history with my favorite football team. All right, that 4th and 1 call still being talked about in San Francisco and in Santa Clara. What was Sean Payton thinking, not taking the points, not going up 10-0 in an AFC title game at home with a backup quarterback? Our own Andrew Mason caught up with Chris Sims from NBC. Very interesting answer here.
I would have played, let's keep applying the pressure no matter what, even if Bo Nix is there. Here's the thing I didn't love about it. One, the play was basic. Everybody has that play in the first week of training camp. I was like, man, this is Sean Payton's AFC Championship. Go for it. I got to make it happen play. I was shocked by that. Vrabel played a defense that most people don't play in that situation. He played Tampa 2 on 4th and 1. Right? So Vrabel's coaching is special. That play right there, them telling the Drake May to keep the ball around the edge, and then the late slow substitution on the Stidham interception, that was coach and situational football, and that's why Vrabel is Belichickian and Parcells that way, to give him that advantage. But yeah, no, even if Bo Nix was there, and you can ask my NBC friends all here, I am the one that's always there, kick the field goal. Okay, sorry for that, but that's Chris Sims for you. All right, good.
I love Mace at the very end. I can bleep it out for you. That's fine. But kick the bleeping field goal was his takeaway, as well as the lack of creativity. Obviously, Chris Sims grew up around football, had a cup of coffee in the NFL, now turned into an analyst. I mean, if he says it, I'll believe him, and I can. My own 2 eyes can tell me that too. That play had no creativity to it. It had no real shot at success. And yeah, if you're going to go for it on 4th down in an AFC title game, that's where you bust out all the stops. There's really no tomorrow other than one more potential game. You're not exposing something you don't want other coaches to see on tape. It's the AFC title game. It's like what I always used to say about Peyton Manning, because it made me so nervous with his neck when he got here. I said the only way Peyton Manning should try to make a tackle on an interception is if it's a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. That's the only time I want him to do it, because I don't want to risk injury. Now, unfortunately, he threw one of those against the Seahawks in Super Bowl 48. It didn't work out that day. Certainly worked out in Super Bowl 50. But I think, yeah, there's 2 big takeaways there. 1, kick the bleeping field goal. And 2, just a really uninspiring play call from Sean Payton.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with Phil Simms on both of those points.
Or Chris Simms.
Chris Simms, sorry. That, one, you should have kicked the field goal, taken the points. In a game like that, when you have the backup quarterback, any points are good points. So I think that would have been my first train of thought. And then on top of that, there's kind of two schools of thought if you're going to do the 4th and 1. Either run it up the gut and use your physicality, use the best offensive line in football that you think you have, or come up with something far more creative than what you ended up doing out there. And Sean Payton did neither of those two, so I think it's fair to criticize the play or the play call in that scenario.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And I don't think it's necessarily revisionist history either. You know, there was a lot of people at the time, real time, you got to kick it, you got to go up 10-0. And then there was a lot of people scratching their heads right after going, really? It's 4th down in the AFC title game. We try to throw some little flare out to R.J. Harvey that the Patriots just easily blew up. And you heard Simms talking about the Tampa 2 defense that Vrabel had in there. Maybe Sean didn't get the look he wanted. At that point, he had already used one timeout, so I don't know if he can use another timeout, but that's where the experience of the quarterback would have mattered too, audible into something they liked better with the defense that New England showed you. It's just a failed operation and a play that, you know, is it going to be as infamous as Raheem Moore or the ball going over Peyton's head in the Super Bowl? No. But it'll live in infamy for quite some time that not only did he not take the points, but just, again, how vanilla the play call was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where having Bo Nix would have been a huge upgrade out there. 4th and 1, short distance. You have a mobile quarterback, athletic guy that has made plays with his feet all season. Also can throw it, obviously. Very successful with his arm. It's not like he's Tim Tebow out here, one-dimensional. But I think having Jarrett Stidham out there and using him in the play-action fake there, where he's just not quite the athlete that Bo Nix is. I think you put Jarrett Stidham in a bad spot. I don't blame Stidham for that play specifically. I think that falls more on Sean Payton than anything.
A lot of reaction to my Mahomes comment. Junior in Arvada says Chris Collinsworth loves Mahomes. Yes,
he does.
You're right about that, Junior. And didn't Tony Romo accidentally call Josh Allen Mahomes in the divisional round game?
He did.
As well. So I like this one from the 0105. This is Josh chiming in. He said, Mahomes got annoying, but most fans don't really hate him. Brady got the hate because the team repeatedly got caught breaking the rules and getting slaps on the wrist. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of good football in New England. There was also scandal. Deflategate, certainly the most famous of all of it. But, yeah, maybe Mahomes being hated is too strong a word, but I think unless you're a Chiefs fan, we're kind of all Mahomes out at this point. And the problem is, if he has a second win like Brady does, second act like Brady does, we may still be dealing with him, particularly in the AFC West for the next decade.
Yeah, and I don't have too much of a problem with Mahomes himself. It's more the people around, not like his inner circle or anything like that, but the fans of his and the Chris Collinsworth of the world that think he's, you know, the best thing to ever happen to football, where, yeah, he's really good at football, and I appreciate that he's really good at football. I appreciate that Andy Reid's one of the best coaches in football, probably the best coach currently in football, and I think Travis Kelce's a special talent too, so there's a lot to like there, but it gets to the point where all the fanfare gets to be a little too much.
Yeah, but doesn't he bring some of the hate on himself with how he behaves during games? I mean,
he can be a little whiny with the refs.
Constantly whiny with the refs. You know, when they blocked the field goal against the Broncos, not this past season, but the year before, he celebrated like he had just won the Super Bowl when he didn't do much of note that day at all. I think he's a nice guy off the field. I think on the field, he does have some behaviors that sort of drive me and a lot of other people crazy.
I think that's fair, and I think that's a good way of describing it more in depth. I think his play during when the play clock is going and when the ball is snapped, I think that is very impressive and enjoyable to watch.
All right, a lot of Avs fans headed to Ball Arena right now. Avs and Sharks get going here in about 25 minutes. But there was news today around the captain, Gabriel Landeskog. Is it good news or is it bad news? I think there's two ways to interpret it. Dante and I'll hit on that next.
Are the Denver Broncos an NFL destination once again?
They're half a football away from going to the Super Bowl. And you're going to have more money than you've ever had to spend, no dead cap, and quote QB on a rookie deal. I think the Broncos have become one of the more desirable destinations in the entire NFL to be with.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Progressive Insurance knows pets, and one of the biggest differences between people and pets is that we don't eat things off the floor. But dogs definitely will. and it makes them so happy. No matter what it looks like, smells like, or what state of decomposition it's in, we all want to go through life that carefree. And that's also why you should get Progressive Pet Insurance, because they eat things off the floor. So protect your pet from all the questionable life decisions they make. You know where they drink from when you're gone, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Want to get to the Gabriel Landeskog update here in just a moment, but start with this text from the 2253. How did Sean Payton not value 3 points in that situation when just a week before against the Bills, he needed every opportunity and every point to win that game? I think it's a good observation from the texter. Here would be my retort. I'm not defending Sean Payton. I said it at the time. I've said it many a time since. He should have gone up 10-0. He had a backup QB. Dante, he wanted to go for almost a kill shot at that point in time and prove to everyone, because what did he tell Tracy Wolfson? We're going to win this game. Again, Tracy relayed that on air. I don't know if Sean meant that on the record, off the record. We know he kind of struggles with that. But, yeah, I think Sean was feeling himself. He was up 7-0. Stiddy had thrown that bomb to Mims, the touchdown to Sutton. They had moved the ball on that drive. People forget that. They did move the ball on the infamous 4th-and-1 drive. I think he was looking at that. If I'm up 14-0 at home in the AFC title game, I'm going to the Super Bowl. Obviously, that could be an ego thing, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, to the texter's point, Sean's going to think about that one for a long time. Sean's in his, early to mid-60s? Doesn't know how many more chances he's going to get at that second ring, that second Lombardi. He had a great chance this year, and his decision directly impacted that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that wouldn't have been the kill shot anyway. You're up 14-0 with halfway through the second quarter. There was a lot of football left.
With a blizzard coming, though.
Even he admitted that wasn't exactly the weather that he was anticipating.
I'm being a little sarcastic there.
I just think that it wouldn't have changed all that much going up 10-0 versus going up 14-0. I think going up 10-0 would have been the sure way of going up about it. So you're going up against a guy that's probably going to finish runner-up for the MVP. Like I get that Drake may ended up not having a good game in total, but I still think that 14-0 wasn't necessarily going to put that game to bed in that moment.
Yeah. Well, Sean's going to have to think about that one all spring and summer long. He likes to say, you got to flip over the game pieces, the puzzles, start over. They do. No one can change the past, but even as he's flipping that board over, he's going to be thinking about his last board that was 2 stops from a Super Bowl.
Well, and Sean knows it better than almost anybody, where he's had some very crazy things happen to him in the playoff games. The Minnesota Miracle, the pass interference call that wasn't called pass interference with the Rams. So I think at least this one was in his hands and in his control. I think that you can sit a little bit better with that versus all the other 2 examples that kind of happened to him. So, but he's no stranger to having this feeling of maybe regrets or what could have been in these playoff runs.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Gabriel Landeskog is a green light for Milan and Team Sweden in the Olympics. That's according to Pierre Lebrun. Now, Gabe also spoke with the media after morning skate today. He won't play tonight against the Sharks, but definitely going to give the Olympics a go. Obviously hasn't played since that scary collision in Florida on January the 4th against the Panthers, crashing into the goalpost, hitting his ribs hard, and suffering an upper body injury. Luckily, of course, this has nothing to do with all those knee injuries and surgeries that kept him out of the last 3 regular seasons before returning for Game 3 of the playoffs last year. But how do you feel about it, Dante? Gabe taking tonight off, and I'm not taking tonight off too strong. Gabe sitting out probably smartly tonight. No need to rush it for a February 4th game against the Sharks. But that his first action about 6 weeks after the injury is going to be in the Olympics. In one sense, it's great news he's healthy and can go pursue gold and represent his country as the captain of Team Sweden. On the other hand, this is going to make Avalanche fans nervous. There's just no other way to slice it.
And that's the take I was going to go with. I don't love that his first action back is going to be not with the Avalanche and not working to get back to playing with the Avalanche. It's a little... And I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but it's self-interest of Gabe Landeskog playing with Team Sweden in the Olympics. And I don't fault him for that. I think anybody would love the opportunity to represent their country in the Olympics. So it's a fine line of, hey, the Avalanche are the team that stuck by your side for all those years while you were injured. They're the ones that are paying your paychecks every single week or bi-weekly. I don't know how KSC does it down there, but I just think that it's maybe not putting his priorities where they should be, but it's really hard to fault him for that. Like I said, anybody would love to represent their own country in the Olympics.
Yeah, and I see that. I think that's where I land on it. I got to be consistent, right? I was the guy who pounded the table. I had no problem with Jokic playing for Serbia when everyone said, oh, he's played so much basketball, he needs to be off his feet, this and that. It's kind of once-in-a-lifetime type stuff. Gabe may have played 12 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but these opportunities don't come around often, particularly with the NHL not letting its players participate in the Olympics for so long. I can't blame him. It would be a weird double standard if I was super upset or mad about this. I just know I'll be holding my breath. I'll tell you that much. I mean, they have 3 games in the preliminary rounds, February 11th, 13th, and 14th. Can't say I'm waking up at 3 in the morning or whatever it is to watch them, but you better believe when you start your day, you're going to be double checking. All right, is Gabe good? How'd Sweden do? That kind of stuff. Now they have 9 players going. You'll be checking on all of them, but I think outside of the McKinnons, the McCarrs, the Nelsons, the Lekkonens, the one that really come top of mind, you're going to be looking at everything Gabe does in 3 games and 4 nights. Will he play all 3? And then if they advance, he could have more games after that as well. So I think there'll be a lot of Twitter refreshing first thing in the morning for Avs fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you see this as a nice break from the Avalanche for this team, or are you a little concerned that they're going to get worn down?
I'm good with it. I didn't think I'd be good with it, but they've struggled so much recently. Hopefully beat the Sharks tonight, go into the break feeling good, and then come back for that stretch run. All right, it was fun. For Dante, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic